Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DNA July 2025 webinar. It's time to talk about creative that cuts through the noise and signals real opportunity. Here in 2025, everyone runs social advertising, everyone runs display, everyone runs these high impact channels, and the creative can be the make or break between a successful ad campaign and one that gets shut off, doesn't produce results quickly. I'm joined here by Jack Sweeney, creates a lot of the ads here at DNA, is responsible for millions of dollars in capital raised from advertising conversions. We're going to be sharing with you some case studies from performance we've seen over the past few months and historically. We're going to be sharing with you some of the underlying strategies, the blueprints to why we created these ads, what we did on the visual side, what we did with video editing, what we did with copy. We're going to give you the strategy that really drove the results here. And we're talking industry leading campaigns. So it's not just, hey, Jason and Jack, they like these visuals, they like these creatives. This is the color palette that they're a fan of. No, our clients, the issuers that we work with, the companies issuing shares, demand results. They demand performance because they have limited budget and they need to see $1 turn to 10 or more. The cost of capital has to be there for them. So it's why we place such an emphasis on the pre-launch and the entire design of the strategy, the tactics, the approach. It's why we have built an in-house creative studio, and Jack and Brendan and our team are putting together variants that are going out on a weekly basis for us to A/B test. But that's what we're going to be speaking about here today. Jack, why are you involved with creative? You want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I'm out here in sunny Los Angeles, with Jason's also out here, and like most, I came out here to get into film, and I worked in all elements of production, and then also at the same time, very into music, ran a DIY venue, and spent a lot of time creating promotional materials for artists. And what I loved about what really got me into marketing and creative marketing is being able to see the direct correlation um, between the creative and the response. Because that's what's amazing these days about um, you know, content marketing is like you see that direct payoff and you see it in the metrics. And it's like just like the scorecard of like how you're doing. And I love that. And that's why I got into it. So I started DNA, and you have to kind of rethink, before with creating for musicians, you're creating, it's like a product, you're selling the music. This, you're creating to sell the opportunity. And I had to relearn that a bit, and it's been a fun challenge, and I'm excited to share what I've picked up.
Absolutely. I feel like I know you better. I think the whole audience does as well. And I get to spend time with you daily. Creative that cuts through the noise and signals real opportunity by Jason Fishman and Jack Sweeney. Here's a few examples of ads you can see in the back. We're going to be getting into it and in depth. Feel free to send over any questions. We can answer them in real time here as well, and or combine an ad at the end here. Address each of them at length. You have the product. Now sell the opportunity. Jack, you mentioned something about this in your intro. What does that mean to you? Why are we talking about this? I mean, isn't that pretty self-explanatory? Why is the focus on selling the opportunity versus the product?
Yeah, you think it's self-explanatory, but when you're a founder, I mean, this is your baby, this is your vision, and it's very easy to fall into wanting to tell everybody about the product. But what's important, what investors care about is they want to see a return. And they care about the product. There might be some alternative incentives there, like it's a green product, maybe they're interested in environmental issues, or they're just a fan of the genre of the movie you're promoting. But ultimately, if they're going to put in money, they want to see a return. So you kind of have to like not kill your darling, but put your darling back a little bit and say, okay, this is about speaking to investors. So that's what that means.
And I would argue that it's true for every campaign. Are you really selling the product? Or are you selling the opportunity that it has for the target audience you're going after? Am I buying the pen? It's a real nice pen. I'm not gonna tell you the price tag. Am I buying the pen or am I buying the way it makes me feel? Am I buying the usage of it for video production? Am I buying this perception in my head of what the experiences with it, what the value around it are going to lead to me? For the investment, obviously a similar concept. You want to be able to talk about what the purchase of those shares, what the purchase of that debt, what the purchase of that investment looks like, long term. So, what we're going to learn here in this discussion together, how to design content that speaks to investors, not customers, per Jack's comment there. And it is a pitfall that we find many founders, many issuers find themselves in of, hey, we're explaining the product real well, uh, but it's not leading to investments. I can't tell you how many calls I'm on a week, a month, where the founder will speak to me about their product for a good 25 minutes of a 30-minute call. Not about the investment opportunity, not about how we're going to get the traffic, not about how it's going to convert. They're almost not interested in that. And I love it. It's an engineer, it's someone who's an enthusiast. Absolutely. I'm very passionate about our products. But when that shows up on the capital raise campaign, it commonly leads to issues. I've seen it in pitch decks for 15 years now. You got to be able to speak about the business, the growth, the opportunity that who you're pitching is going to have. Why product forward creative underperforms, the psychology behind investor decision making. Put yourself in their shoes. We're going to do it. Common creative traps and how to avoid them, how to design assets that inspire belief in your upside. Here's a creative we ran uh, May for Rad Intel. Uh, $12 million goal hit on a Reg A, 10.2x return on ad spend, campaign wide on the pixel data. We know iPhone users are only counted in small volumes on that pixel data as well. So investment update, share price changing soon, creating immediacy. Brad Intel works with Kevin Morris, quarterback, Atlas Road. They're very good at designing the investor experience and what they're going to go through and what's going to inspire action at different points. So this is a great example to take from. We're actually going to show you how much has been raised from specific creatives later in this presentation. So Jack, what do we have going on here? Jack actually designed this presentation as well too. What were you going for here on this page?
Here I'm going for simplicity. And the eye scans real quick, and we want to just get to the point within 5 seconds. Even the number of bullets there, it's like, okay, this is gonna be easily digestible. And we're looking at this creative here. Your eye scans real quick. So early detection saves lives. Okay, you got my attention. Um, but why do I care about this? Why do they look credible from an investor standpoint? And it's well designed. I mean, you have the woman there, but it's also there's that extra element, that X factor of the scan, and you're like, okay, so what are we selling? What is this about? Skin cancer detection in minutes. And what's so profound about that specific statement is it accomplishes a couple goals. It tells you what we're detecting, skin cancer. It's telling you it's in minutes, and that it reinforces that this is something that hasn't been done before. So you're talking a little bit about the product, but you're also saying that it's revolutionary. And then it's like, okay, how can I get involved? And then we have a subtle CTA up top, but ultimately, if the creative is strong enough, you're going to want to learn more. and you're like, you see that banner up top and you're like, okay, so let's see what this is about. And the investment opportunity is live on WeFunder. It tells you where to go. It's not a hidden, it's not like out of out of reach. It's just like it tells you exactly where you're going. You click on the ad and then you're there. So is this big enough to matter? Saves lives. Of course, that's important. And can I see the upside? Again, with the bottom in minutes. Okay, so this is something that hasn't been done before. I want to invest in that. And as an investor, you see that. And they're, disrupting the industry. You learn a lot from that about that bottom tagline. That subheader is really important. So yeah, and that makes you care and makes you want to click.
As Jack's saying, he created the ad. Here's what's behind it. This campaign, by the way, over $970,000 raised, could pass $1 million during the webinar today. Uh, Definitely one that you want to check out. A leader on WeFunder as well as the Reg CF market, and they just went live. It's early in the round for them. So you're seeing a traffic driver, something that's converting for them at a high level. Does it look credible? Does it, is it big enough to matter? As Jack said, yeah, it's saving lives. Can I see the upside? Yes. An audience member may think that it's primed for growth. I have to be careful on how I say it, of course. But Jack, thanks for breaking that down, as well as the page as itself. What do investors want to see is the question you need to be asking. And there's a creative gap. Most ad campaigns, they're speaking to customers, and yes, investor users, user owners, there's a term, investimers. Uh, Sherwood Woody Neese, one of the creators of Reg CF, just put out a book called Investimers. Recommend you check it out. A lot of people in the industry use this term, but you still have to speak to that area of the audience's interests. They're a customer, but why would they want to be a shareholder? And investors need assurance. So this requires a different type of creative strategy, laser focused on getting those conversions, getting the target audience to put in their personal information, their financial information. They have to have enough trust to move forward. So when polling retail and accredited investors on why they're participating, why they're taking an interest in these companies, in these deals, in some cases, it's the experience. Hey, I want to own shares in a company that is addressing skin cancer, that has a solution. I want to talk about this with friends and family. It's something that I'm passionate about. And, I want to be able to say I'm an owner in a company like this. That's a common answer when you're polling retail investors. In some cases, it's the numbers. Hey, this is a no-brainer. These guys are undervalued with everything they've shared. I think they're going to do a lot more in the space, take on more market share. They'll probably get acquired. They may go public, you know, investor perception, but they're looking at what that potential upside could look like. There are a variety of different validators for them, social proof, third party mentions that can signal to them, hey, this is legitimate. But you need that to show up in the creative. People don't believe what they see online. You get to craft the narrative. You have to incorporate these elements into the messaging if you want audiences to not only absorb it, but be able to repeat it to their friends, their family, their first degree network. This is what makes advertising work today. Jack.
Yes. Okay, so customer versus investor psychology. Again, this is another thing that's just at the heart of what we've been getting at. And ultimately, when you buy something like Jason was talking about with this pen, it's like, is it going to solve my problem? Does it write? Okay, baseline, I need the pen to write. But also, is it solving my problem of showing my personality, or is it demonstrating that I have clout? So, and then like when an investor sees the pen, they want to see, well, who's interested in that pen? Like I care about the pen, it looks nice, whatever, but is this pen catching on? Does it have traction? These are all things you want to speak to. I mean, there's the product, the pen, but then there's also what what publishers are behind it, why is it building momentum? So I'm just spitballing on the pen there, but let's take a look at a couple creatives here. Um, So, okay, so on the left here, we have a product focus ad. This is a company we worked with doing e-commerce at Dean. And I'm a fan of this ad. Nice bag, looks all right. Where fashion meets function. We're talking about, okay, this is fashionable, but it's also large. I can fit things in it. And then we have the little tagline on the bottom, home, lifestyle, fashion, and more. It tells you Edine offers more things than just this. But what's the call to action? It's to buy the bag. Even if we had an invest now at the bottom, you might not know, okay, so it's cool. It's a cool bag, but like why investing in this bag? You might need a stronger X factor than just where fashion meets function. On the right here, we have investor focused messaging. So again, we're going back to why does this matter? It's the future of robotic system integrations, AI in motion. And I had fun with this graphic because you want, even in static graphics, you want to add a little element of something going on, some kind of X factor. Every graphic should have a little bit of movement, and you can do that in statics. And this isn't, reinventing the wheel here. We're demonstrating a little of the product in the background there. It's subtle. Okay, we move things around, there's logistics, but the proof is really it's the future. So we got that X factor of the motion, we got the future, tells you where to go. And the CTA, like in graphics, you want, if you can, to do things that serve two purposes at the same time so you can have more negative space. So invest that single sentence, like the skin bit ad, invest in the future robotic system integrations. The call to action is baked into the subheader. So that gives you more room. You don't have to have another button. And it's very clear what we're doing here. I'm not buying robotic system integrations. I'm investing in it. And that's ultimately what's also really important, is you don't want people clicking through and think, I'm, because that happens all the time with founders, is they sell the product too much and they're getting clicks, but people are confused. They don't know what's going on here. I thought I was buying a bag and now you're asking me for money. You wanna have that very clear upfront. No one likes to ask for money, but you want to say like, hey, this is worth your money. This is worth getting involved with. So there's a couple ads there. Yeah.
And there's messaging that you can place above and below the images. So we could talk about automated warehouse technology for Macrove. I've seen fashion companies raising capital, and it's feeling like this e-commerce ad, this product focused ad. Also, that whole concept, that whole thought of no one likes to ask for money. We like to shift that with our clients, where you're providing them an opportunity, a chance. Imagine you're friends with someone that creates a unicorn, multi-billion-dollar company, and they never asked you if you wanted to invest. And maybe because they were only taking, $1 million investments and only going after a specific set of prospects of individual strategic investors, perhaps. But on these crowd sale campaigns, it's open to everyone. Every individual gets to operate on the same terms. You get to make it available to everyone. It's, hey, give me $1. We keep growing. That dollar may be worth many more at some point. Uh, and why buy $1? Buy 1,000, buy 10,000, buy as many of these as you can. Uh, Messaging traps, a common mistake. Explaining your features in too much detail in an advertisement where you have the opportunity to do so on the offering page. That offering page is the centralized location for everything pertaining to the deal. At least that's how this legislature was designed by the SEC. It's how portals are regulated by FINRA. Everything should be available on that offering page. Your updates should incorporate all the movement, all the validators, all the news that you want to share with prospective investors. What's missing? Why this is a smart opportunity to back. In many cases, that's not clearly stated. You want to give the audience the thought, the ammunition to not only move forward, but share with their people. And the takeaway investors back traction, team, upside. You got to be careful how you talk about that with compliance, of course. But this is what you want to be thinking about when drafting your creative messaging and variants of it, preparing to run advertising and then optimize towards what's working best. It's not a matter of what you think is going to work best. It's not a matter of your assumptions. It's a matter of the tangible results, the physical numbers, the analytics that you're getting back from these variant tests. That's all they are until they're confirmed. Once you're able to say, this audience with that creative produces a 3x return, a 5x, a 10x return on ad spend. I spend $10,000, I get $100,000 back. That's what the pixel data is showing us. We're gonna spend a lot more. We're gonna spend 20 grand next month, next week. We're gonna spend 40 if that works at the same levels or stronger, in that range. So common traps that we hear, we try to talk about it on discovery calls with prospective clients or just groups that we're befriending in the space. We look to speak with it around clients, especially if they have strong direction around what messaging to use, what needs to be included in every visual. Again, variants, you want to test 1, 2, maybe 3, but 1, 2 elements in each variant so that it's isolated and you can see what's actually driving the performance. So Jack, you want to talk about what we're seeing in this video here?
Yeah, so this is a client we're working with right now. This is Aquapore. Do we want to just watch it real quick or?
Just talk through it as we're going.
Yeah, so we're we're taking a look here at the founder, which is really important. We're putting people love faces. They love to see who's behind this. And we have some product focus, but ultimately, what I really like about this ad, if you look at the first slide again, is we're starting with a question. And this is an ad we ran pretty early on. And a question is always a great way to start an ad because it pulls the audience in to want to see more. And we're demonstrating the vision here. We're demonstrating the advantage right in front of the camera. As you see right here, where this concrete dries, the traction is up top here. We have as featured on, and a clear CTA, invest today on Start Engine. There's no question about what we're asking them to do.
Also, the social proof on the top could be subconscious, could be something in the background for the audience. They may not be able to recall the logos that are up there. They may not think too much about each individual publisher, but it shows something. It shows, hey, these major media corporations saw value in what this company's doing. And just by adding that little ticker, that little banner at the top, if you pull audiences, they'll likely be more interested. They'll have more trust, more confidence in what you're doing because that's associated. So everything in here being intentional, from the background to the logo to the call to action. Jack, you want to talk about why this messaging is set, it's primed for high performance?
Yeah, this messaging is primed because if we think a couple slides back, we want to think about intrigue. Again, starting with that question, but we want to get them to the landing page. We always want them to take that next step. And they're not fully seeing the whole story, like, hey, I'm the founder, I did this, I did this, I did this, even though as a founder you want to talk about all that kind of stuff, but you need to hold back a little bit. It's a short ad. We're at well, it's got some good time to it, but it feels like it goes by fast. 32 seconds. If you're seeing proof, traction at the end, like Jason said, it might not matter what exact, I mean, CBS, BBC, you can't beat that, but uh it's just everything is very intentional. I think that's what I would say. Everything is very intentional. It's all focused, laser focused on proving that this is worth an investment and you want to learn more. So that's ultimately why this is
And you
primed to
hear the founder
convert
talking about the
is
vision. Oh, sorry, a little lag on my side.
yeah.
Didn't mean to speak over you there, Jack, but you hear the founder, the leader, thought leader, talking about the vision, talking about the advantage, and over other companies, other technologies, other mindsets. You get to see the traction. You get to see the proof, as we're talking about, all in a small window of time. Sure, 15 to 30 seconds. This is at the end of that window. A lot of our video ads we like to have at that length. There's other videos we've run at 2.5, even longer, 2.5 minutes more. But the short presentation, less is more. If you could do it in a few words, if you could do it in a short burst of time, you're going to get more completion. You're going to get more audiences really grasping everything you're saying. They don't feel like they need to take notes or watch the whole thing or come back to this later. So you want to communicate this in a small matter of time. What do we have going on here?
Yeah, so we're going to get into in the next couple slides about creating that investor journey, and we have a couple. These are other bits of creative I wanted to share and kind of you know, go into what's going on here. So, um, on the left here, we have something that's redirecting to the actual investment page. And again, we have things doing double duty here, which is really important for visual space, for some breathing room. We're with the Aquapore ad, we're proof. This is something, this is a product, this is jewelry. We want to be a little bit more tasteful. You want to speak to, their brand. If you look at their brand, M Jewelers, this is a client we worked with. Um, they they're subtle, and they were made that very clear, is that we don't want to hit our customers over the head with this opportunity. So how can we say, how can we kill multiple birds with one stone, and we have the invest CTA as also the jewelry? So you know what's going on, you know what they want you to do. We have a little incentive there. Simple font tells you where to go, start engine. On the right here, we have something that's, more, this is speaking to a lead format. And again, we have some breathing room. We have an engaging face and eye, draws you right in. A little bit more subtle messaging. We know our clients by name. I was happy with that tagline because it tells you a couple things. It does multiple duties at once. It tells you that, here's the advantage, and also here's what we create. So it's not super product focused, but it shows you what we create. And CTA, sign up to keep up. I want to know more. I want to get in this funnel. I'm warmed up to it. And maybe you already know this brand and you're like, let's see what's going on here. So these are two ads that I was really happy with how they turned out. So I just want to highlight those.
And the performance around them, of course. So you're designing the investor journey. You get to shape their perspective. You get to present to them the visuals. We saw some static images, we saw some videos. You could walk through your warehouse, walk through your offices, introduce your team. You could point at people who've said great things. You get to really be the architect of what their lens consists of when they're talking about the brand, when they're talking about the opportunity. And It's crucial. I mentioned this is what good advertising consists of in 2025. This is taking the conversation further than, hey, what's my cost of capital? I'm raising money. That's the whole objective here for investor marketing campaigns. Even if it's an e-commerce campaign, hey, we're trying to hit these sales numbers. Do we really care what logo we're using, the typography, the image? Do I need to show all these publisher logos? Yes, 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 because you're designing that target audience's experience. So you want to put your best foot out the door. Whether they move forward today, whether they move forward tomorrow, next week, next month, whether they never do, you still want them to have a high value associated with your company. So I talk about the funnel quite a bit. There'll be a visual of this, but the high signal funnel, bringing through the investor journey. Investor creative by funnel stage. The top of the funnel is awareness. It's the first time they're seeing the brand, the fact that you're offering um, shares and investors can become owners in the company alongside you. Pattern interrupt. They're scrolling through their social media feeds, their email box. They're looking at investment sites. They're reading content from publishers. You're interrupting their pattern. You want them to give thought towards what you're doing. Don't forget that. It's interrupting them. You want to do it in the right way. You're interrupting somebody in a conversation at a party, social gathering. You want to make sure it's of interest to them. So you don't have to come up with it on the spot like you would in a social setting. You get to build a whole strategy around it. You could look at competitors as part of a competitor marketing audit, part of our 8-point plan, part of our strategy system. Recommend you check out the webinars, the checklist, the one sheets we have to help you create your strategy. But by understanding the conversation that other issuers are having with the investors, by incorporating your brand, you could come up with the right language to communicate the value, the attention they should be, placing on the discussion. Credibility, traction. You want to be able to say, hey, all these people think we're great. All of these writers, all these companies say we're the next big thing. This is where you get to flex it. Digital formats allow for this. You can't just walk up to someone in public and say, hey, I was talked about. I won these awards. I'm on this podcast. It's not the right, format. You can do so in an advertisement during your first impression. We all know how important first impressions are. The consideration stage. There's going to be a drop off from awareness consideration. Only so many of the people you're going after are actually going to get to this chapter. But at that point, more social proof. These are the milestones. Here's how we've actually been performing. The founder story. Let me tell you about why this team is getting to that destination. Let me tell you about the founder, the captain of the ship, is getting us over to that location. The conversion, urgency, momentum, clear call to action. This is what people need to see when they're at that intent stage. I intend to invest. I'm going to get back over there. I'm going to get to Start Engine, to WeFunder. I'm going to get to the offering page that's built using Dealmaker technology or on Net Capital or Looped or, what have you. Create urgency. We saw that first ad with Rad Intel. Share price is increasing. You want to buy at the best price at a smart level? You want to do it right now. I don't mean to push you, but it's urgent. Momentum. We've raised millions of dollars. We've had thousands of investors participate this month, this week. Let's talk about that in the creative. Clear call to action. What are you asking? Is this a product ad? Am I supposed to make a purchase? Am I investing? Where do I invest? How do I invest? How long does it take to invest? What does it mean if I invest? Clear call to action. Maybe it's getting them to sign up for a webinar and then you're going to sell them there. You're going to have a group pitch occur there, maybe with the guest, maybe with another thought leader in the space. Design every touch point to nudge the belief forward. You want to take them from one section of the funnel to the next, to the next, the next. The whole funnel concept. Audiences are dropping off at each stage. The higher conversion rate you can get from one to the next, means the stronger it's going to come out at the end. It's not just about the conversion. It's not just about the return on ad spend. It's not just about the marketing efficiency ratio or the cost of capital or how much is raised. It's about these stages, these steps. That's what produces the strongest results at the bottom. Jack, what's the awareness stage all about?
Awareness stage, you want to do a little mission, but you want excitement. We are live. This is your baby. It's finally going live. You want everyone to know and know why this matters. So you want to use campaign launch language, early investment, exclusivity. You want to stop that scroll, like Jason was saying. You know, if you ask an audience, like, who here likes to see ads? I doubt many hands would go up, except us, people who nerd out on this. But but you know, if you ask, you know, how many people want to see ads that speak to you, that are important to you, that matter, you know, that you actually could get involved with. I mean, we're creating an offering here. We're creating an opportunity to make money. It's like, of course I want to see that. Please land that ad on my page and tell me why I should invest. So awareness is like sort of building that community. These guys, Ivanhoe Park Brewing, this is a client we're working with right now. They're all about community. They talk about it on all our calls, and they really show that here, that this is like, we're not only building our brewery community, you see it in the B-roll here, but we're also building you know, our investor community. We're asking these people that are, you know, drink our beer, like, get involved. Like, you like our product, like, the product sells itself. It's that traction is there. We have people enjoying it. And then also, side note, always add subtitles. Always add subtitles, because you never know if someone's got their audio on or not. So you want to stop that scroll. You know, right off the bat, we're seeing faces, we're seeing people enjoying. It's got that kind of organic feel. Yeah, like, who's this guy? What is he about? We want to learn more. And that's what the awareness stage is all about.
Great breakdown there. You could see the high performing aspects of the video. I primarily scroll on mute, you know, not usually in a setting where I want the volume on, can have the volume on. You know, it's easier to scroll through. So if I'm looking at the subtitles, maybe it's important. You know, there's a lot of messages that say audio on. That's because a lot of users, I don't have an exact percentage. Be interested to see what that would be, but a lot of people do this on mute. And you can see the excitement, you can see the passion. You get to give the audience the language to work off of and around the launch. The early investment exclusivity, the perks, you know, you're disrupting again. So what are you disrupting them with? And you can see, you know, hey, I want to connect with these individuals. I feel what they're doing.
Yeah, and then also,
Consideration stage. Go back, Jack.
yeah, if we want to cruise back to that last creative there, um, if you press play there, you'll see the banner up top. We got some proof. We have more. We showed this is a
Market opportunity.
market opportunity, local favorite. We have that proof there. This community is here. Let's blow it up. Let's make it big. We want to take this everywhere. So that was just one other thing I wanted to add was, you know, that banner up top. There's the CTA kind of always there in the back of your mind, open to investors. Finally, this opportunity is open. Of course, I want to get involved. You know, that's that, like, exclusivity. You know, of course, it's open to anyone that wants to invest. But the idea that it's now open, like, finally, okay, this has traction. It's now open. Let's get involved. So, yeah, I want to talk about that banner a little bit.
And as we get the audience aware and they start to click, okay, what's this campaign all about? I'm going to head over to, you know, Start Engine. I'm going to head over to whatever platform this deal is on. You have to ask yourself, what are they going to want to see? What's going to move them forward? What's going to inspire action that we're able to later track? because that's how we grade all of these campaigns. Of course, what's it physically producing? But we have to be focused about what's occurring at each step along the way. You meet someone in public, you want to invite them to a conference. You can't just say, hey, do you want to come to my conference? You have to have multiple elements of the discussion before you get uh, to a point where they're going to move forward, and you want to have a more direct call to action. But the consideration stage, all right, let me take a look at this deal. I'm considering it. They leave the page. What are you going to follow up with them about in terms of ads? Show momentum, promote events, milestone updates, investor testimonials, active founder involvement, publisher activity. You want to be able to show them, yeah, this is a moving ship hitting its destination. Yeah, these events are coming up. You could participate in them yourself. We're going to have a group pitch. We're going to have an investor webinar. We're going to be speaking at this conference. You should check it out. You should check out the videos afterwards at a minimum. Look at these people who've invested. Here's why they're sharing, why they're now shareholders or owners alongside us. Want to be able to illustrate that the founder's committed to hitting the goal, active founder involvement. They're not just, an owner and they check in on the, monthly accounting. They are physically, sleeves rolled up, doing whatever they can to hit that goal on a daily basis, that they're going to hit it no matter what. They have that grit, that relentlessness. Publisher activity against social proof. We're seeing here in the Citizens Coffee ad, 41% more sales year over year. If you were a shareholder, it would be in a company that's producing 41% more revenue year over year. In February, Citizens Coffee, you're looking at the report of 24 to 25, the net sales, they have many locations, the discounts, the gross sales, uh, the emoji of the mind being blown and the sketching around it kind of takes down that curtain a little bit. It's like, hey, we're talking to you directly about this. Here's how we feel about it. This is where you want to look. This stuff's not confusing. It's very clear. It's very easy. It's elementary. And then a large click to invest button so that people can understand these are the next steps.
Yeah, and like Jason was pointing out the emoji, that was an idea of the founder. And at first I was like, are we gonna have an emoji on this ad? And it gives it that organic feel, and he was so right. It's like it's almost like it looks like your friend shared it. Like 41% more sales. This is huge. That's Andrew Geisel. He's a great, had a lot of great suggestions, and that's a high performing creative there. It's not, you don't see a coffee cup. It's just like it's telling you directly, like, here's our growth. You don't need to be shy about it. You just tell them what it is. And this audience is already warm. They know, okay, these are coffee producers, the coffee's good, but where's the momentum? What's going on here? Why do I want to invest? So,
And then we get to the conversion stage. So where you want to create a fear of missing out. So where we want to use countdowns, immediacy, urgency, get that action. We're going to be measuring it, remarket to warm audiences. So as you build the marketing funnel, I was first taught about advertising, that it's all about the retargeting. It's all about how many people are in your funnel. If I speak to an affiliate company, let's say about an e-commerce campaign, and they're offering us advertising and just paying per sale, they're going to want to know how many people are in that funnel. Are you getting 50,000 unique visitors a month? Are you getting a 3% conversion rate? Hey, if you are, we can run ads and guarantee conversions off of this. Different for investments and broker dealers charging success fees, things along those lines. But just showing you what's under the hood of an advertising campaign that's more solid in terms of performance, in terms of results. Urgent tone, increased frequency. Here's an ad someone may see. This is for MagFast. Windows closing. Invest in MagFast before it's too late. Premium charging technology, 20 million plus generated revenue, $500,000 day one sales, campaign closing, live on net capital. So you're looking at an issuer here that, has raised more than virtually any CF issuer to date. They're experts around talking about their product, charging technologies, their cables. People love. They order 10 packs. They order even larger um, uh, uh, volumes in some of their, product promotions, but because how much they love the product. And the founder, Seymour, is amazing. He puts together these webinars that he works on for months and goes through, hundreds of slides and gets people pressing that invest button. They did a webinar this year that had over $500,000 in investments during the actual webinar. They are masters at the conversion stage. And this is what it's all about. These 5 points right here.
Cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about some design flaws. I'll breeze through these. Lack of visual hierarchy. We've seen that in a lot of the creatives that we've looked at, there's a very clear, you have a large hook, you have a subheader that, gives you a little more context. And then the CTA, people scan left to right, top to bottom. And it's almost like a mini funnel. Like you want to just take that on that journey as they're scanning. So crowded design, people aren't going to know even what you're asking. What's my next step? What am I trying to do? What can I take from this? We talk about that trap that you want to share everything you can about your baby, your vision, you want to share all kinds of things, but it can get very crowded. So you want to just keep it simple, keep it clear. Here's what we're doing. This is why it matters. Flat visuals, a great way to fix that is just add a little texture, add some shadows, and it gives it that depth. Um, Again, with crowded design, you have in an extension of that, non-existent, hidden, or unclear CTAs. And this will just lead to wasted ad spend. You got people clicking through and they don't even know, am I buying a pen? Am I buying a bag? Am I investing? I don't know what's going on. And they get to the page and they're like, wait, I thought I was buying a piece of jewelry, but with that M Jewelers ad, it's very clear, invest. Poor asset choices. You may have an event you're really excited about, like let's say you spoke at some conference, but they're all iPhone photos, they're all blurry. You're very small to zoom in, it gets pixelated. Maybe choose to show the logo of the conference and then like a nice headshot of yourself. Don't lean into, I gotta use this asset. Sometimes you gotta just say like, hey, maybe that asset, we don't use it. And brand inconsistency, this is really simple. When you create your deck up front of, your who you are, what your visual style is, you want consistent fonts, consistent font sizes. You want a palette that's consistent. And you may need to test. We'll talk a little bit about testing creatives. You may need to switch things up mid-campaign to create, to create something that converts more because you're not getting what you need from that creative. But ultimately, your landing page, which is what your socials, your Instagram feed, you want it to be very consistent because it shows that you know what you're doing. It shows that you're an expert in your brand. This is a streamlined message like that. Those are all elements that you want to lean into and lean away from these design flaws.
People only notice bad design. If you look at the ads we showed, some of them may not look terribly exciting as much as clean. We're looking at the performance, working with the clients to get there. Uh, but if something stands out to you, oh, that's off. This looks bad. This looks like a startup. I mean, many of these companies are putting 10, $20 million valuations, some of them hundreds of millions. We've worked with companies this year with multi-billion dollar valuations. Your ad creative needs to justify that. So those inconsistencies, people feel it. They may not even be able to articulate it, but they feel something's off here. High performing creatives. Here's one for NK Tabor, 10.2x return on ad spend for this ad. So, talking about the football club, demonstrates momentum, investor metrics, publisher traction, clear design hierarchy, points to community, clear call to action, beyond fandom, 1,000 plus owners. Big deal, showed up in the results. Just an example. They had many other performing creatives, but you want to find what's working best for you, continue to run it as evergreen, and test more ads on top of it. Even just changing the color of the call to action button. Facebook gives you options. Learn more is one of them that are commonly used on these campaigns, but you could put whatever you want on the image. So invest today as the button on there, and you can see the color. We went through different iterations there, how much it's raised, how many investors, all featured in the creative. What about this one, Jack?
Yeah, so this is a really high performing ad, and it just really goes to speak the right creative design. It it gets investments. This is real. This is your chance to put yourself out there, and you can have a, just this is not like a revolutionary design. I like this design. I wanted to share this design because a lot of founders are coming in and they're like, well, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not super creative. Maybe you're more on the engineer type brain, but this is not anything extravagant. We have what's going on, a still from the movie. It looks professional. We have up top what it is, Daniel movie dot official from the actual. So I know it's a movie, the biblical epic, which speaks to that emotional, because a lot of people invest with emotion. It speaks to, okay, that's something I can identify with. It's a biblical epic. It's a big story, it needs to be told. You got that FOMO there, last chance to invest, and where to go. It's simple. I didn't spend days on this ad. I didn't spend hours on this ad. I wanted to show that this is something that anybody can do. Take a little time to think about the spacing, what you're trying to say, keep it simple. And this converted $21,000. So
Good use of time putting this ad together. One of many that were converting on the campaign, but one that we wanted to point out. This is, an intent advertisement, running retargeting. Clock is ticking. Last day to invest in our offerings, April 30th. They saw over $450,000 raised during that month of April for their campaign that surpassed $1 million. Slower points, slower spends mid campaign, and then all culminating at the end, clearing out that funnel. Everyone who's in the consideration, the intent stages, seeing creative like this, and a big boost during that final month. 118,000 from this ad alone, 28.7x return on ad spend. A lot going on here. Highlights incentive, shows mission, reinforces community, on brand, campaign metrics, entry level share price. So you're seeing on this Regulation A Plus campaign uh, the percentage of growth that they had, how much in revenue, lot of numbers. Numbers are important to investors to work off of, feeds into their brand. You could see their colors, you could see their typography, you could see Deloitte as social proof. Name them the fastest growing software company in North America, number one again. And this is a campaign that produced over $45 million. Worked on it from September to mid-May. Been working on their Reg D, and they've just got an extension. So check them out. But at the same time, this is what they're running as creative. If you check them out, you're going to see a lot more retargeting ads. You're going to see the founder. You're going to see Steve Wozniak. You're going to see all of these different validators and what they're doing with their mobile hardware, what they're doing with their mobile software that could tap into any phone, allowing users to earn for their phone usage. So this is a creative that, again, one of hundreds that were run across the ad sets. But this one alone, 118K, 28.7x ROAS.
yeah, so we talked a little bit earlier about some elements that can be tested. It's important. Jason's favorite phrase: test, optimize, scale. If you're not testing your ads. You're not investing the most time you can in terms of creating that return. You want to try different creatives and always be expanding how you're thinking about it. There's always ways to improve. So here we have what's interesting about this Akesis company is this is an ad that Brendan, one of our lead designer, created. He I took his original ad, which is this gentleman here. He looks very optimistic. We have the traction, 2.53 billion testosterone. Well, that's not traction. The market size, 2.53 billion testosterone replacement therapy market. We have a learn more CTA. So I took that and then I created another ad here, very similar copy, but an older couple, we're speaking to that emotional aspect. We have, a man and a woman, an older gentleman, different CTA, still the same vibe, but still on brand. But, these are it may be a simple image change, but we're speaking to very different audiences. And it's interesting how those subtle changes you want to test them because you could be speaking to an older investor audience, which might have a higher income. And this testosterone market might be, more interesting to someone that's older. Or maybe you have a younger person that's interested in like a tech disrupt or a biotech disruptor, um, biodisruptor. So it's like you always want to be testing that. It's important. I didn't spend days on this. I took his ad, changed a few things up, and now we have an alternate ad and we could A/B test that. We could see what performs better.
So 3 things you can do right now: audit your deck and visuals. Offering page, if you're live, there may be a process, even fees to do that with your portal, but audit your deck and visuals based on a competitor marketing audit. Do the research, go on a King's Crowd. You can see every live reg CF or live regulation A plus campaign, as well as every campaign to date for both of those filings. Shift your messaging from features to future. Where is this going? Not just what are you doing right now? Again, you have to do that compliantly. You have to be careful with forward-looking statements, but you can do that with design. You have to be careful about some of the words, but you could do it with design. Plan creatives with the funnel journey. So at what point is it reaching the investors? Make sure you have enough variance for each stage of that funnel at that. And Jazz, you want to give this invitation? Excuse me, Jack, do you want to give this invitation?
Yeah, so we're doing a free high-level campaign audit, and we'll just hit the tip of the iceberg here. We'll give you 30 minutes, funnel analysis, optimization opportunities, content, uh, performance benchmark comparison, 30-minute strategy session, free campaign audit. Check it
Yeah.
out.
So content, design, visual strategy, performance. Don't be bashful. Reach out. Talk to Jack, talk to Brendan, talk to me, talk to Jazz. Final word: shoot for brand consistency, sell the opportunity, unlock your voice, and have fun with it. It will land with audiences, whether you're doing this as, a formality or whether you're really taking pride in it. Okay, well, we're at time. Invite you to send questions to Jack on LinkedIn, to me on LinkedIn, to our site. Uh, Definitely want to make that available to you. We could do this audit of your ads, of your funnel, give you ideas, whether we have the opportunity to work together or not. It was like making more friends. So please feel free to reach out. We will be on the lookout, and we'll see you next month. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you next time.